In 1450 BCE, one of the world's most advanced civilizations vanished in a single generation. The Minoans built Europe's first great cities, developed sophisticated plumbing, created art that wouldn't be matched for 1,000 years. And then, in less than 50 years, nearly every major palace was destroyed, their cities abandoned, their writing system lost forever. No ancient text explains what happened. No enemy claimed victory. But the archaeological evidence tells a story far stranger than invasion or war. What force was powerful enough to erase an entire civilization from history? The Minoan civilization dominated the Bronze Age Mediterranean for over 600 years. From roughly 2700 BCE to 1450 BCE, they controlled trade routes across the Aegean Sea, built multi-story palaces with advanced engineering, and developed one of the earliest writing systems in Europe. At their peak around 1600 BCE, the Palace of Knossos alone covered 150,000 square feet and housed an estimated 100,000 people in the surrounding city. They had indoor plumbing, sophisticated drainage systems, and vibrant frescoes depicting a culture of wealth and peace. But between 1450 and 1400 BCE, archaeological evidence shows a catastrophic break. Nearly every major palace site, Knossos, Phaistos, Mallia, Zakros, shows signs of sudden destruction. The question that has puzzled archaeologists for over a century is this: what could cause such complete and rapid collapse? Today, we're examining the evidence, the competing theories, and the latest discoveries that are reshaping our understanding of one of history's greatest mysteries. To understand what was lost, we need to understand what the Minoans built. The story begins around 2700 BCE on the island of Crete, the largest island in the Aegean Sea. Archaeological evidence shows the first palace structures emerging around 2000 BCE during what's called the Old Palace period. But it was during the New Palace period, from 1700 to 1450 BCE, that Minoan civilization reached its absolute peak. These weren't just buildings, they were massive administrative centers. The Palace of Knossos covered nearly 4 acres with over 1,300 rooms spread across multiple floors. Recent excavations have revealed sophisticated ventilation systems, light wells that brought natural light deep into the structure, and a plumbing network that included flush toilets and running water. The Minoans developed Linear A, a writing system we still can't fully decipher, which they used for administrative records and religious texts. Their artistic achievements were extraordinary. Frescoes showing acrobats leaping over bulls, dolphins swimming in vibrant blues, and processions of elegant figures. What's remarkable is what's missing from their art: warfare. Unlike other Bronze Age civilizations, Minoan frescoes show almost no military scenes, no conquered enemies, no weapons of war. Their wealth came from trade. Minoan ships carried pottery, olive oil, wine, and textiles across the Mediterranean, reaching Egypt, Syria, and Anatolia. They established trading posts throughout the Aegean islands. By 1600 BCE, Minoan culture influenced the entire region. You can see Minoan-style frescoes in Egyptian tombs, and Minoan pottery designs copied by mainland Greeks. This was a civilization at its absolute height, sophisticated, wealthy, and seemingly secure, which makes what happened next even more puzzling. So what exactly happened around 1450 BCE? The archaeological record tells a dramatic story. When excavators first uncovered the major palace sites in the early 1900s, they found something consistent and disturbing: widespread destruction layers. At Knossos, archaeologist Arthur Evans discovered rooms filled with collapsed stone, charred wooden beams and pottery crushed where it fell. The same pattern appeared at Phaistos, Mallia, and Zakros. But here's what makes this evidence so compelling. The destruction was sudden. Archaeologists found valuable items left in place: bronze tools, ceramic vessels, even food storage jars still full. People didn't have time to gather their possessions. They fled or died where they stood. Carbon dating and pottery analysis have refined our timeline. The destruction happened in a remarkably narrow window, probably within just a few decades around 1450 BCE. Some sites show signs of fire. At Knossos, you can still see fire-reddened stones and soot stains on walls. But fire alone doesn't explain everything. Many buildings show structural collapse without burning: walls that toppled, floors that buckled, massive stones displaced. Then there's the cultural break. Before 1450 BCE, administrative records were written in Linear A. After 1450 BCE, we find Linear B, a different script used to write an early form of Greek. The Minoans didn't write Linear B. The Mycenaeans from mainland Greece did. So we're not just looking at destruction, we're looking at a complete cultural transformation. The palaces were destroyed, the writing system changed, and Mycenaean Greek culture replaced Minoan culture across Crete. The question is, what could cause such total devastation? The first major theory focuses on one of the most powerful volcanic events in human history, the eruption of Thera. About 70 miles north of Crete lies the island of Santorini, known in ancient times as Thera. Around 1628 BCE, this volcano exploded in what scientists now classify as a VEI-7 eruption, one of the largest volcanic events of the past 10,000 years. To put this in perspective, the Thera eruption was roughly 4 times more powerful than Krakatoa in 1883, which killed over 36,000 people and was heard 3,000 miles away. The Thera explosion ejected an estimated 24 cubic miles of rock and ash into the atmosphere. It created a caldera, a massive crater, that's still visible today as Santorini's dramatic cliff-ringed bay. For decades, archaeologists believed this eruption destroyed Minoan civilization. The theory seemed perfect. A massive volcano just 70 miles away erupts with catastrophic force. The evidence supporting this theory is substantial. Volcanic ash from Thera has been found in archaeological layers across the eastern Mediterranean, including Crete. Core samples from the seafloor show tsunami deposits matching the eruption date. Computer models suggest the eruption would have generated tsunamis over 40 feet high, hitting Crete's northern coast, exactly where the major palaces were located. The blast would have produced earthquakes, ashfall that buried crops, and possible climate effects from atmospheric ash blocking sunlight. It's a comprehensive explanation that accounts for widespread, sudden destruction. But here's the problem. The dates don't match. Modern radiocarbon dating places the Thera eruption around 1628 BCE, with a margin of error of plus or minus 14 years. The Minoan palaces weren't destroyed until around 1450 BCE. That's a gap of nearly 180 years. For comparison, 180 years ago from today would be the 1840s. That's not a small dating uncertainty. That's multiple generations. So, while the Thera eruption certainly affected Minoan civilization, it cannot be the direct cause of the 1450 BCE collapse. If volcanic catastrophe doesn't explain the collapse, what about invasion? Theory 2 points to the Mycenaeans, the warrior culture of mainland Greece. While the Minoans were building unfortified palaces and painting peaceful frescoes, The Mycenaeans were building massive fortress cities with walls so thick the later Greeks called them Cyclopean, believing only giants could have moved such stones. Mycenae, Tyrans, Pylos. These weren't administrative centers like Minoan palaces. They were fortresses. The Mycenaeans were also literate, but they wrote in Linear B, that Greek script we mentioned earlier. And here's the crucial evidence. After 1450 BCE, Linear B appears at Knossos. The same palace that once used Linear A is now keeping records in Mycenaean Greek. This suggests Mycenaean takeover. Archaeological evidence supports military conquest. At several Cretan sites, weapons appear in burial contexts after 1450 BCE. Warrior graves with bronze swords and spears that look distinctly Mycenaean in style. The art changes too. Post-1450 BC, frescoes at Knossos show more military themes. Warriors with figure-8 shields, boar's tusk helmets, distinctly Mycenaean military equipment. Even pottery styles shift from curvilinear Minoan designs to the more geometric Mycenaean patterns. The invasion theory answers questions the volcanic theory cannot. It explains why Knossos alone survived and continued functioning after 1450 BCE. The Mycenaeans needed an administrative center for their new territory. It explains the cultural transformation, the language shift, the appearance of military artifacts. But this theory has problems too. First, there's no evidence of a large-scale military campaign. We don't find Mycenaean military installations appearing suddenly across Crete. We don't find mass graves from battles. Second, the destruction pattern is wrong for invasion. When armies sack cities, they target specific buildings, temples for treasure, palaces for control. But the Minoan destruction was widespread and seemingly indiscriminate. Some buildings burned while others simply collapsed. Third, and perhaps most puzzling, why would the Mycenaeans destroy the very palaces they wanted to control? Knossos survived, but why destroy Phaistos, Malia, and Zakros if you're trying to conquer territory? What if we're asking the wrong question? What if it wasn't one catastrophe, but a cascade of disasters that brought down Minoan civilization? Theory 3 proposes a combination of natural disasters and human conflict. Here's how this theory works. The Thera eruption in 1628 BCE, while not directly destroying the palaces, severely weakened Minoan civilization. Imagine the immediate effects: tsunamis hitting coastal settlements, volcanic ash contaminating water supplies and burying agricultural land, darkness from atmospheric ash causing crop failures. The Minoans survived, but they were damaged. Archaeological evidence shows the palaces were rebuilt after the Thera eruption. We can see this in the stratigraphy. There's a layer of volcanic ash, then new construction on top. The Minoans were resilient, but recovery takes resources, time, and stability. And Crete in the decades after Thera may not have had any of those. A weakened Minoan civilization would have been vulnerable. Their naval dominance reduced, their economy stressed, their population struggling with food shortages and damaged infrastructure. This is when the Mycenaeans may have seen opportunity. Not a massive military invasion requiring huge armies, but opportunistic raids, gradual takeover of weakened cities, exploitation of a civilization in crisis. Then, around 1450 BCE, another natural disaster struck. We know Crete sits on a seismically active zone. Evidence from multiple sites shows earthquake damage around this time. Walls with characteristic seismic displacement. Buildings collapsed in ways consistent with ground shaking, not fire or human destruction. The timing is crucial. A major earthquake or series of earthquakes hitting an already weakened, partially Mycenaean-controlled Crete could explain everything. The widespread destruction across multiple sites, the mix of fire damage, cooking fires and lamps knocked over during quakes, and structural collapse. The survival of Knossos, which may have been reinforced by Mycenaean occupiers or simply luckier in the ground shaking. The complete cultural transformation, as Mycenaean Greeks stepped into the vacuum left by Minoan collapse. This combined theory is compelling because it doesn't require us to ignore any evidence. The volcanic ash layers are real. The cultural transformation to Mycenaean control is real. The earthquake damage is real. Perhaps they're all part of the same story. A civilization hit by disaster after disaster until it couldn't recover. So what do archaeologists believe today, in the 2020s, with all our modern technology and decades of additional research? The answer is, it's complicated, and that's actually progress. Modern archaeology has moved away from looking for a single dramatic explanation. Instead, researchers now focus on understanding the complex interaction of factors that led to collapse. Recent excavations using ground-penetrating radar have revealed previously unknown structures at Knossos and other sites, helping us understand the timeline more precisely. In 2019, a team from the University of Crete used advanced seismic analysis on palace walls and confirmed that earthquake damage is present at multiple sites, dated to the mid-15th century BCE. DNA analysis of skeletal remains is providing new insights. A 2021 study examining Minoan and Mycenaean DNA showed more genetic continuity than we expected. The Mycenaean takeover may have involved more cultural adoption than population replacement. The local Cretan population largely remained, they just came under new rulers and gradually adopted Mycenaean culture. Climate studies are adding another dimension. Ice core data from Greenland shows the mid-2nd millennium BCE experienced climate instability, volcanic eruptions worldwide causing temporary cooling, which could have stressed agricultural systems already damaged by the Thera eruption. One particularly fascinating discovery came in 2017 from underwater archaeology. Teams exploring the seafloor north of Crete found evidence of a massive underwater landslide around 1450 BCE, possibly triggered by earthquakes. This landslide could have generated additional tsunamis, hitting coastal palaces that had already been weakened by previous disasters. The current scholarly consensus leans toward the combined catastrophe model, but with nuance. Most archaeologists now think something like this happened. The Thera eruption in 1628 BCE caused immediate damage and long-term environmental stress. The Minoans rebuilt, but their civilization was permanently weakened. Over the next 180 years, Mycenaean influence gradually increased through trade, intermarriage, and probably some military pressure. Then, around 1450 BCE, a series of major earthquakes struck Crete. These earthquakes destroyed buildings already stressed from previous damage, caused fires, triggered landslides and tsunamis. In the chaos, the Mycenaeans, already present on the island in significant numbers, took control. But here's what's crucial. Modern archaeology emphasizes that this wasn't the end of Cretan culture. The population continued. Many Minoan traditions persisted. What ended was Minoan political independence and their unique palatial system. The people adapted, survived, and their cultural DNA continues in later Greek civilization. So, what really happened to the Minoans? After examining all the evidence, here's what we can say with confidence. Around 1628 BCE, the Thera volcano erupted with catastrophic force, damaging but not destroying Minoan civilization. The Minoans rebuilt, but they were weakened, economically, demographically, and politically. Over the following 180 years, Mycenaean Greeks gradually increased their presence on Crete through trade, cultural exchange, and likely some military pressure. Then, around 1450 BCE, a series of major earthquakes struck the island. These earthquakes destroyed palaces already stressed from previous damage and centuries of use. Fires broke out. Coastal areas may have been hit by tsunamis from underwater landslides. In the chaos and destruction, the Mycenaeans, already integrated into Cretan society, took political control. The Minoan palatial system collapsed. Linear A was replaced by Linear B, but the Cretan people survived. They adapted to Mycenaean rule and their culture continued in modified form. What's remarkable is what we've learned about how civilizations collapse. It's rarely one dramatic event. It's usually a cascade of problems: environmental stress, political instability, economic decline, natural disasters that compound until a society can no longer recover. The Minoans didn't vanish in a single catastrophe. They were worn down by repeated crises until their political system failed. Yet, even in failure, their legacy survived. Minoan art influenced Greek art. Minoan religious practices shaped later Greek religion. The bull-leaping frescoes, the sophisticated plumbing, the peaceful prosperity they achieved for centuries, all of this remains part of our understanding of what human civilization can accomplish. The mystery isn't fully solved. We still don't know exactly which earthquake struck when, or precisely how violent the Mycenaean takeover was, or what daily life was like during those chaotic final decades. But that's the nature of archaeology. We work with fragments, with gaps in the record, with evidence that's always incomplete. Every excavation, every new technology, every careful analysis brings us closer to understanding what really happened on that island 3,500 years ago. So what do you think happened to the Minoans? Was it the volcano, the earthquakes, the Mycenaean takeover, or all three together? Share your theory in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries compelling, subscribe to the channel for more research-heavy explorations of ancient civilizations and unsolved historical enigmas. Next time, we're investigating another Bronze Age mystery that changed the course of human history. Keep questioning what really happened.